World Population Growth by Wolfgang Stebbins. The birth and death rate. In 200 years, the world's population grew times 6. One reason for this is that the death rate has gone down. The death rate is the number of people who died out of every 1,000 people every year. Plus the birth rate has gone up. The birth rate is how many babies are born for every 1,000 babies. But the world isn't perfect. There are still challenges. Some of the challenges are crime rate, immigration, disease, and starvation. Immigration. Immigration is when people migrate to better living environments, or where there are jobs. When people migrate, they bring their culture and disease. When people migrate, they move from the land where they were born and go to somewhere else. They leave mainly due to transportation. This isn't the only reason they leave. They also leave due to persecution, natural disaster, or war. They are also called refugees. The Demographic Transition Model, the DTM, Stage 1. What is the Demographic Transition Model? The Demographic Transition Model, or DTM, is a model used to represent the transition from high birth and death rates to low birth and death rates as the country develops from a pre-industrial to an industrialized economic system. In a pre-industrial society, death rates and birth rates were both high and fluctuated rapidly according to natural events such as drought, disease, or to produce a relatively constant and young population, but overall death rates tend to match birth rates, often exceeding 40 per 1,000 per year. Children contributed to the economy of the household in early age by carrying firewood and messages, caring for younger siblings, sweeping, washing dishes, preparing food, and working in the fields. Raising a child cost a little more than feeding him. There were no education or entertainment expenses, and in Equatorial Africa, there is no clothing expenses either. Thus, the total cost of raising children barely exceeded their contribution to the household. In addition, as they became adults, they became a major input into the family business, mainly farming, and were primary form of insurance for adults in an old age in India. An adult son was all that prevented a widow from falling into destitution. While death rates remained high, there was no question as the need for children, even if the means to prevent them had existed. The Demographic Transition Model, the DTM, Stage 2. Stage 2. This stage leads to a fall in death rates and an increase in population due to two factors. First, improvement in food supply brought about by agricultural improvements, including crop rotation, selective breeding, and seed drill technology. Second, significant improvements in public health reduced mortality, particularly in childhood. These are not so much medical breakthroughs as they are improvements in water supplies, sewerage, food handling, and general personal hygiene. Following from growing scientific knowledge of the causes of disease and the improved education and social status of mother countries in this stage include Yemen, Afghanistan, Palestinian territories, Bhutan, and Laos, and much of the sub-Saharan Africa. The DTM Stage 3. Stage 3. Stage 3 moves the population towards stability through a decline in birth rate. As childhood death continues to fall and incomes increase, parents and become increasingly confident that fewer children will suffice to help in family business and care for them in an old age. Partly due to education and access to family planning, people begin to reassess their need for children and their ability to raise them. Stage 4. The DTM Stage 4. Stage 4. This occurs when birth and death rates are both low. Therefore, the total population is high and stable. Countries that are at this stage, total fertility rate of less than 2.5 in 1997 include United States, Canada, Argentina, Australia, New Zealand, and most of Europe, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Trinidad, Tobago, Brazil, Sri Lanka, South Korea, Singapore, Iran, China, Turkey, North Korea, Thailand, and Mauritius. All of the information is got from the Census Bureau. The 2010 Census. The Census Bureau serves as the leading source of quality data about the nation's people and economy. Article 1, Section 2 of the United States Constitution mandates that a census of population be taken every 10 years, and it is therefore called the decennial census. This mandate is implemented by the various acts of Congress as described in Title 13 of the U.S. Code. In addition to the population count, the authority to collect other information, such as demographic and housing data, is also grounded in the Constitution described in Title 13. The constitutional reason for conducting the census every 10 years is to determine the congressional representation of each state in the U.S. Congress. The results of the census are used for many purposes. In addition to determining congressional representation, policymakers, data analysis, planners, and the public use census data. Tribal, state, federal, and local governments use census data to assess the quality of services and effectiveness of programs. Non-governmental organizations use the data to develop and analyze programs. Businesses use census data to forecast future demand for products and determine whether they are employing a representative workforce. Analysts use census data to determine how communities are growing and changing. The end.